You have been systematically told that analyzing her digital footprint is the definition of insecurity, paranoia, or being controlling. That is a deliberate, calculated lie designed to keep you blind and committed to women who are actively preserving their optionality.
Social media is not a diary. It is a performance platform built to harvest external validation, and the methods she uses to secure that validation are the precise metrics you need to evaluate before you commit a single dime or a moment of your future to her. We are going to walk through the 6 digital red flags that reveal exactly what she values, who she considers her real audience, and how quickly she is willing to compromise your relationship for the fleeting rush of digital affirmation. We are connecting across borders because this truth is universal and undeniable. Tell me, right now, in the comments below, what city are you fighting these battles from? A stable, high-trust, committed relationship requires psychological and physical containment. A willingness from both partners to prioritize the relationship structure over external validation sources. Social media, however, is structurally designed to dismantle that containment. It is a psychological Skinner box that rewards chaos, drama, and external seeking behavior. When you observe a woman's behavior on these platforms, you are watching her neurological system being trained to seek rewards from outside the relationship structure. This training actively undermines the quiet, steady, and private effort required for long-term commitment. Conversely, a woman who is addicted to the validation loop, who refuses to turn down the volume on the world's applause, is demonstrating a profound, fundamental disloyalty to the stability and privacy of the relationship you are trying to build. You are watching her make a choice daily between the high sugar rush of external praise and the nutritional stability of internal partnership. This is not about being jealous of her attractiveness. The woman who uses social media primarily to maintain a public image designed to elicit competitive attention is signaling that her primary source of perceived value is still the external male gaze, not the intimate reality of her partnership. You are a stable presence, but the audience is her addiction. And in an addiction model, the drug always takes priority over the partner who is trying to help her heal. What exactly is a thirst trap in the context of loyalty? It is not merely a picture where she looks attractive. A woman posts a beautiful photo for her friends. She posts a thirst trap for her orbiters and potential upgrades. You must become skilled at differentiating between an innocent post and a strategically engineered post. A strategically engineered post is deliberate, often low effort, but high reward, focused on maximizing cleavage, highlighting specific curves, featuring suggestive poses, or using specific angles that leave little to the imagination. The caption often adds fuel to the fire, posing a leading question or seeking specific validation disguised as self-reflection. The intent here is everything. The answer is that she is maintaining her optionality premium. Every like from a man she dated casually, every compliment from a male friend of an ex, every fire emoji from a stranger serves as a digital affirmation that she still holds value on the open market. This optionality is the opposite of loyalty. Loyalty is the intentional removal of options because the one you chose is sufficient and superior. Think about the psychological impact of this behavior on the partnership. When you are sitting across from her at the dinner table, and she spends 10 minutes perfecting an angle for a photo that she knows will generate 20 specific male comments, she is actively choosing the perceived value from those external sources over the respect she owes to the man who is physically present. She is mentally outsourcing her emotional stability to a digital audience, which means you are not the source of her self-worth. You are simply the anchor for her material life. The moment a digital post becomes more important than the man sitting next to her, the loyalty has already been compromised. This tactic uses her own sexual capital as a tool of emotional leverage. It sends a clear message to you. If you do not perform to my expectations, I can instantly recall my external attention economy. It is a passive-aggressive threat, weaponizing her perceived availability against your security. The second major red flag, the operational layer of her optionality premium, is the intentional maintenance and active engagement with a stable of male orbiters. An orbiter is a man who is clearly interested in her romantically or sexually, but whom she maintains at a comfortable, non-committal distance. While every person has male friends, the orbiter dynamic is defined by 3 specific factors: persistent, non-platonic romantic interest from the man, consistent, selective emotional or attention reciprocation from her, and the active hiding of this dynamic from you. On social media, this pattern manifests clearly. Does she consistently like, comment on, and engage with posts from men she clearly knows desire her, even if they have never explicitly crossed a boundary? A loyal partner understands that her commitment extends to the comfort and security of her man. She recognizes that maintaining an accessible queue of backup admirers, whether for emotional reassurance or future dating options, actively poisons the well of commitment. When she refuses to do this, when she says, "He's just a friend, you're being insecure," while simultaneously feeding him just enough selective attention to keep him hoping, she is demonstrating a profound deficit in loyalty. She is prioritizing the affirmation of the orbiter over the security of her relationship with you. The digital orbiter is her safety net. Men often mistake this for popularity or general friendliness. It is not. The key behavioral indicator here is how she responds when you ask her to create digital distance from a specific known orbiter. If she becomes immediately defensive, emotionally manipulative, or frames your request as controlling, you have your answer. It signals that the potential utility of that backup option is currently valued higher than your feeling of security. A woman who is genuinely committed and loyal will sacrifice the attention of a dozen orbiters without hesitation to ensure her partner feels completely prioritized and secure. The refusal to prune is the refusal to commit fully. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of how deeply the digital landscape reveals emotional disloyalty. If this analysis gave you the clarity to recognize patterns you instinctively sensed but couldn't articulate, remember this channel is dedicated to giving you the raw truth. We are building a community of men who refuse to be deceived by digital performance. If you have seen these digital red flags in action, comment the phrase, "I read the receipt." This is the signal that you prioritize reality over comfort. Now hit the subscribe button immediately. Like this video right now, confirming your commitment to clarity and strategic partnership. You need the rest of this analysis. The next part will reveal the most subtle digital markers, the ones hidden in plain sight, deep in her posting history and her financial signaling, that expose profound emotional detachment and opportunistic planning. Do not miss the next step in this essential framework for loyalty detection. Let me tell you something about the modern relationship that most men refuse to admit. Her social media isn't a personal journal of her life. It's a carefully engineered resume designed to keep her options perpetually open and signal her desirability to every man watching. If you don't fully comprehend the 6 digital red flags that expose her true commitment capacity, you are effectively building your future on a foundation of shifting sand. We are not talking about checking her phone for private messages. This is not about judgment. This is a crucial lesson in pattern recognition and risk management. Tell me the city you are receiving this signal from. Drop your location in your mind and just absorb this reality check, because the environment you're in will determine the level of digital deception you are facing. The first sign, the first undeniable red flag we addressed, is the thirst trap portfolio, the reliance on provocative content. This isn't merely about posting a swimsuit photo on vacation. This is a sustained pattern of leveraging sexual appeal for measurable engagement. First, she is confirming that her primary mechanism for generating self-worth is external, specifically tied to the attention and desire of anonymous male observers. This is a transactional behavior. The need to post provocative content is the opposite of confidence. It is an addiction to measurable metrics. She is taking a transactional view of her own body and desirability, using it as a lure, a tool to gather data points, likes, comments, DMs, that tell her she is still valuable on the open market. Because when she is in conflict with you, when the relationship hits a boring, stable phase, or when she feels insecure, her default response is not to turn toward you, her committed partner, for comfort and security. Her learned response is to turn to the digital market, posting a thirst trap to generate a quick, cheap hit of external validation. That dopamine spike substitutes for the hard work of genuine intimacy and conflict resolution within the relationship. The consequences of this continuous market signaling are severe and quantifiable. It establishes an impossible standard for you. Furthermore, this behavior sets a precedent for her children, demonstrating that value is derived from objectification and external approval, not internal character or commitment. A woman who insists on maintaining this type of portfolio is mentally incapable of fully closing the market, and a woman who cannot close her market cannot be loyal. The second critical red flag is the constant validation seeking, the metrics obsession. This moves beyond physical appearance and into her entire life narrative. We are looking for the behavioral pattern where every event, every achievement, every meal, and every feeling must be immediately broadcast for public affirmation. This obsessive behavior reveals a profound dependence on the external algorithm for emotional regulation. Think about the psychological toll this takes on the capacity for loyalty. It demands that she find sufficient affirmation and emotional grounding within the relationship itself. But when a woman is addicted to the validation machine, she is fundamentally unstable. When a stressful event occurs in her life, or when she is upset with you, she weaponizes her feed. She posts vague, dramatic, or victim-oriented content designed to elicit sympathy, praise, or concern from her audience. A partner whose self-worth is tied to the approval of strangers is always one bad algorithm change or one negative comment away from an emotional crisis. This creates a perpetual energy drain on you, the committed partner, because you are tasked with providing stability while simultaneously competing against an imaginary standard of universal admiration that only her curated digital persona achieves. You are always secondary to the spectacle. The relationship serves as content, not as a sanctuary. She will resent you for prioritizing privacy and intimacy when she needs the spotlight to survive emotionally. The third devastating digital red flag, and perhaps the most direct indicator of loyalty deficiency, is the active maintenance of orbiters and backup plans. Social media is the ultimate tool for keeping the romantic market warm without incurring the cost of physical effort. Orbiters are those men, former dates, lingering exes, or persistent male acquaintances who she maintains a friendly, engaging, yet vaguely non-committal interaction with online. These are not platonic friendships. These are insurance policies. Why expend energy maintaining a roster of potentially interested men if she is truly, unequivocally committed to you? The usual excuse, he's just a friend, falls apart under analytical scrutiny. Why does she engage in flirtatious, boundary-pushing banter in the comments section? Why does she need to message him privately about relationship troubles she hasn't even fully communicated to you? She is investing emotional and communicative energy outside the committed relationship structure. Every message, every reaction, every like she sends to an orbiter is a micro-betrayal of trust and loyalty. This provides her with psychological comfort, the assurance that if you leave, or if she decides to manufacture a breakup, she is not starting from zero. She has a pipeline of warmed-up alternatives. She can observe the status and availability of her orbiters in real time. If you have a professional setback, or if you disappoint her, she can immediately gauge the viability of her backups simply by monitoring their feeds and perhaps offering a strategically placed comment to signal her availability. A woman who truly respects her commitment protects it fiercely. That means intentionally closing off contact with former romantic prospects and eliminating any ambiguity that might invite advances. This phenomenon requires you to confront the concept of emotional integrity. True loyalty is not just the absence of physical cheating. It is the presence of an emotional firewall that protects the relationship from external influence. She is permitting emotional leakage that should be reserved exclusively for the committed partnership. The result is a reservoir of chronic insecurity that will plague you, knowing that your partner's emotional health and future relationship decisions are being co-managed by a ghost roster of potential replacements. This inability to maintain boundaries and close the emotional market is a direct predictor of relationship failure and long-term marital dissatisfaction. You are not her choice. You are her current utility, and her digital behavior is the inventory management system of her options. The flag of the hidden narrative arises when she consistently fails to acknowledge your existence, your relationship, or your status publicly, despite her willingness to post every trivial detail of her personal life, work, and friendships. This digital erasure is not modesty. It is deliberate strategy. If she is deeply committed, if she is proud and loyal, she should want the world to know you are her chosen partner. It maintains the illusion of availability. If you are not clearly defined as the committed, singular partner, then every man watching her content can continue to believe they still have a chance. You are being hidden from the public eye, so her attractiveness signals can remain universally appealing. A woman who is loyal showcases her commitment with pride and certainty. The absence of content confirming your status is far more revealing than the presence of content seeking attention. It is a sign that she is unwilling to suffer the market devaluation that comes with being officially and unambiguously off-limits. She has trained her brain to seek affirmation from the crowd, to quantify her value, and to maintain competitive options. This framework is diametrically opposed to the foundation of trust and vulnerability that a loyal, long-term partnership requires. That is romance, not reality. You must view her social media as a transparent display of her current operating system. The final two flags, the curated luxury life and the hyper-independent critique, provide the finishing touch on this framework of digital disloyalty, showcasing the resource dependency and the ideological resistance to partnership that often accompany these behaviors. We must analyze how the projection of wealth and status online creates expectations that inevitably fall upon the committed partner, and how ideological postures can make her incapable of yielding or compromising, which are necessary acts of loyalty. The gravity of these observations lies in recognizing the pattern before you are financially and emotionally entangled. Do not confuse the digital performance with the reality of her capacity for commitment. We have to continue this deep excavation of the remaining flags, understanding that the exposure of these secrets is your primary defense against a future defined by chronic competition and quiet betrayal. The cost of ignoring these warnings is paid in lost time, emotional devastation, and crippling financial consequences. The clarity you are gaining right now, the realization that you have the power to protect your future by simply observing public patterns, is invaluable. Claim this reality for yourself right now. Drop a phrase in the comments affirming your commitment to self-preservation. Something like, "I see the signal now." This exercise anchors this hard-earned truth in your mind. Hit subscribe and lock in your position within this community of informed men. We are here to shield you from the engineered confusion of mainstream dating culture. Be absolutely ready for what comes next. The digital footprint we expose in the final part of this series is the single most destructive marker of a woman who is fundamentally incapable of genuine loyalty. Stay locked into this channel. Every man believes he knows the woman he's dating. But I'm telling you, what she projects in person is a controlled illusion, a carefully managed brand. Her social media is the psychiatric audit you never paid for. It is the digital DNA of her character, laid bare for those who know how to read the patterns. If you have been ignoring the digital smoke signals, hoping that offline affection outweighs online behavior, you are willfully blinding yourself to reality. Today, we close the loop. We expose the final two red flags, the most devastating and absolute signals that reveal her long-term inability to prioritize you, your relationship, and the stability of your future together. This is the difference between navigating the dating world with clarity and stumbling through it with blind faith. This knowledge is your protection. Before we dive into the final, unmissable red flags, tell me right now, what city are you watching this from? I want to know exactly where these dangerous patterns are being observed and understood by men who are ready to make informed decisions. Now let's get back to the audit. The fifth digital red flag of disloyalty. The active erasure and control of her past narrative. The ghost history. Her history, while complex, is something she owns, acknowledges, and integrates. She doesn't need to surgically alter the public record of her life to appear acceptable to her current partner. This isn't just deleting old pictures of an ex-boyfriend. This is a systematic purging of years of high-exposure partying, sexually suggestive imagery, relationship-hopping documentation, and evidence of a value system that directly contradicts the one she claims to embrace today. Look for the sudden dramatic gaps in her posting history. Where are the years between 25 and 32? They were surgically removed not for privacy, but for narrative control. This manifests in several extremely revealing ways. She doesn't delete posts. She archives them, hiding the evidence from public view while maintaining the data for herself. This is a calculated act of deception, ensuring you cannot scroll back and connect the dots of her previous life. Second, the extreme defensiveness when the past is inevitably brought up. If you ask a reasonable question about a previous post or a former partner and she immediately becomes hostile, emotional, or accuses you of being controlling or insecure, she is engaging in projection and deflection. A secure, honest woman answers the question calmly and accepts responsibility for her past self. A disloyal woman, or one prioritizing self-preservation, creates a fog of emotional volatility to prevent further investigation. Third, the sudden implementation of stringent privacy settings. She may have been an open book previously, craving the exposure and validation of the masses. This control over the visibility of her past and present is a massive signal that she views the truth as a vulnerability to be managed, not a foundation for genuine partnership. You are not dating her history, you are dating her current performance, and the ghost history is the stage curtain she pulls down to prevent you from seeing the backstage chaos. This is the ultimate indicator that her loyalty is provisional. True loyalty means dedicating her relational energy and emotional focus entirely to you, her chosen partner. These are the men whose existence she dismisses as just friends, but whose interactions with her online are clearly characterized by lingering sexual interest, overly familiar banter, and consistent, immediate support, likes, comments, DMs, on her content. How do you spot the orbiter phenomenon online? It is characterized by persistent, high-frequency interaction from the same handful of men who offer effusive validation, particularly on her appearance-related posts. If her posts consistently receive early, emotionally loaded comments from the same 2 or 3 men who offer praise that goes beyond platonic friendship, comments like, "looking fire," or "I wish I could join you," those are orbiters. These men represent options, and she knows it. The key revealing behavior is how she responds. She keeps her friends strictly in the friend zone. A disloyal woman, or one subconsciously preparing for an exit, feeds these interactions. She is investing in her replacement plan. Furthermore, look at her messaging patterns related to attention-seeking posts. She's soliciting private validation and testing the availability of her orbiters in the DMs, away from your view. The maintenance of the digital lifeboat signifies a deeply transactional view of relationships. She fears genuine commitment, because commitment means closing the door on superior or more exciting alternatives, and her history of constant option evaluation prevents her from ever fully closing that door. The orbiter strategy is her guarantee against loneliness and a subconscious declaration that your relationship is conditional on you, meeting an ever-increasing list of demands. The moment you fail to perform, she has 3 DMs ready to go. They are interconnected symptoms of a fundamental character deficit, a trained inability to value loyalty, internal stability, and genuine reciprocal partnership. The social media profile is the Rosetta Stone of modern female psychology. When she spends hours curating an image that maximizes external attention, she is demonstrating where her true value is derived, from the perception of others, not the substance of her commitment to you. When she prioritizes broadcasting her life over living it fully with you, she is telling you that the audience is more important than the partner. When she aggressively scrubs her past, she is admitting that she fears the truth of her choices will repel you. The fatal mistake most men make is operating from a position of hope rather than reality. They see the red flags, they feel the discomfort, but they rationalize it away with phrases like, "she's just being herself," or "that's just how modern women use social media." This normalization of disloyal behavior is what destroys relationships and marriages. You must stop hoping her character will evolve to match your desire for commitment. You must judge her not on her stated intentions, but on her demonstrated patterns. Ignoring these digital signs is the equivalent of getting into a car with a passenger who is constantly fiddling with the emergency brake, saying, "Don't worry, I'm committed to this journey," while actively preparing to jump out at the first sign of traffic. The hard, undeniable conclusion is this: loyalty is not a switch she turns on for you. Loyalty is a deep-seated behavioral framework developed over years of consistent choice and prioritization. You are being asked to provide security and stability to a woman whose default programming is chaos and option maximization. The investment is not worth the risk. This analysis is not about misogyny. It is about risk management and self-preservation. You have a limited emotional bandwidth and finite resources. You must choose women who exhibit low-exposure social media profiles, who prioritize privacy and depth over performance and audience, and whose history is characterized by stability, not serial relationships. Demand loyalty that is reflected in every facet of her existence, especially the public and semi-public spheres where the temptation for validation runs highest. If this perspective gave you clarity on patterns you have sensed but couldn't articulate, if this framework has validated your intuition about the hidden truths of modern relationships, you must act on this knowledge now. The moment for passive observation is over. We are establishing a community of high-value men who operate based on reality, not fantasy. I want you to join this movement. We need a definitive phrase, a mantra of clarity that instantly signals you understand this truth. I need you to drop that phrase immediately in the comments section below. That phrase becomes our shared banner, a testament to pattern recognition over performance. You understand the risk of relying on surface-level information, so do not let this knowledge be your last connection to reality. Hit the like button to amplify this vital information to men who are currently being deceived by the digital performance. And make sure you are subscribed. You absolutely cannot afford to miss the next deep dive, where we uncover the shocking financial patterns that instantly disqualify a woman from long-term partnership. You need this audit before you spend another dime. The next step is always deeper, always more revealing. Stay alert.